Welcome to another episode of Questions or Answers, and today we're going to be talking about how to make the right decisions and alleviate the pain and suffering from indecision or trying to make the right choice. And this question really is almost flawed in itself and will set us up for failure. But I wanted to ask this question and preface the episode this way because that's how most of us are thinking in order to progress in life. It's whenever we're faced with a certain choice that we have, we always try to think of the right one that we need to make. So this episode is really to be able to help you alleviate and to let go of all of the pain and angst involved in decision making and to prevent you from really going into analysis paralysis and to find peace now. The first thing to know is that there is no right choice. And you might have intuitively known that already, but it's worth saying again because nobody really says this. There is no right or wrong choice for you. No one can ultimately know what will happen when you make that decision. We can think we know what will happen, but we don't really know. And if we're faced between two options, most likely one option's pretty scary and it's your gut feeling of what you want to do and what you know in your body, in your soul is the choice that you should be making. And then there's the choice over here of the choice that is safe and you know what's going to happen if you make this choice. Typically that's the dichotomy of the choices that we have in our lives, and there is no right or wrong. It's just whenever we choose a specific option, we will experience something within us, and it's really about how we think about making this choice. And one of my favorite ways to really break out of this cycle is to first understand why we experience so much angst when we're making these decisions. And it's mainly because of how we're viewing the decision. Typically, we think in black and white and polar opposites. So if we go with decision A, then this is going to happen. And if we go with decision B, this is going to happen. And we think in complete black and white where if we make the wrong choice, everything will fall apart. Our lives will end. We're going to lose everything. And if we make the right choice, then we're going to have ultimate success and have everything we possibly want in our lives, even though we really know that that's not true. So look at what your thinking is behind the decision and look at the fear behind it. Why are you afraid to choose this option? What are you afraid of losing? What do you think is going to happen? And just be really honest and transparent and open with yourself. And you'll find out a lot of things that you might have subconsciously knew, but you weren't aware of it yet. And once it comes to the surface, then you'll be able to see it for what it is, and it will diffuse and neutralize that thinking, and it will allow you to be able to move forward. So that's really the first step, and it's almost as simple as that. Remember, the truth is always simple. So once you look at the thinking, find out what the beliefs that you have behind it, and then take a look at what the fears are underneath it. So after that, you really want to understand too that there is no right or wrong, that there is no guarantee of what's going to happen when you make the decision. And it's our minds that think that something's going to happen. Just because we make the wrong decision doesn't mean something bad is necessarily going to happen. And even if it does happen, that doesn't mean that it's going to be the end of the world. And usually our mind exaggerates how bad these situations really are. So once you're really honest with yourself and look at what is it within me, within you, that is so fearful of what's going to happen. And at this point, you've really been able to diffuse this whole entire situation. And the most beautiful part is once you're able to neutralize it, then you can make the decision that you intuitively know is aligned with you. And one of my favorite ways to think about it is not to think about right or wrong or good or bad. I like to think about it in alignment. So what decision is most aligned with you and where you want to go in your life? What decision feels most aligned with your soul, with your intuition, with just your full authentic expression of yourself? Which of those options is going to help you do that? So think about alignment versus right or wrong, good or bad, and that's going to help you move forward. Once you're able to do that, you can then start to allow yourself to follow your intuition more often. The reason why a lot of these decisions are so difficult is because we intuitively know what we are inspired to move towards, yet we don't have a logical reason for it. And a lot of times it's masked in fear. And so everything's almost going against our logical mind when we are trying to follow our intuition and make that decision that we know just deep down of what we need to make. So this is really because the choice that's most aligned with you isn't rational. It's not logical. You can't really explain it. You don't know why you feel compelled to move towards it, but you do. Every fiber in your being knows that you need to make this decision in that direction. And I just want to tell you that that is completely normal and what you're supposed to experience. And the reason why that's the case is because when you're making these decisions that are aligned with yourself, that are more intuitive than logical, what you're doing is you're stepping into the unknown. And the unknown is always scary. And the unknown is just that. We have no idea what's going to happen. So that's why it's not rational. That's why it's not logical. Following our soul, our calling, what inspires us, following love is never rational. Love is not rational. It's not logical. You can't justify unconditional love. Otherwise, it's not unconditional. It's conditional love. If you have reasons for why you love doing something, it's conditional. But if you do it because you just love it so much and there's no other reason because of pure abundance of love coming out, emanating from your being, that is called unconditional love. And you want to make you want to make decisions from that place of unconditional love, which means it's not going to be rational. It's not going to be logical. And that's okay. So sometimes all we need is confirmation that we're not as crazy as we think in order to move forward and make the decision that we know we need to make. And that's what I hope this episode is doing for you. That's all I have on this topic. And just trust yourself. Really trust yourself. Very few people in the world are going to trust you when you're following your intuition because they can't understand it and they won't understand it. And you don't need them to understand it in order for you to make the decision. Trust yourself. Trust your soul. Follow your intuition. Follow the love. And go into the unknown. And I promise you, miracles will occur when you do this. I love you all very much.